Awesome. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Sonic Movie Show, the only show that reviews every video game movie. My name is Ethan. As always, I'm joined by my esteemed colleague in the dead, Devin. How's it going?
I should have guessed. Made in America.
Speaking about Made in America, our other reoccurring special guest here, David. How's it going?
Great. I get to play Santa Claus.
Nice.
Yes, this whole episode you must
okay.
be Santa though.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yes. Wait, I'm trying to think of when he said that. Oh, he was on the roofs, wasn't he?
I don't even remember.
Folks,
Oh, yeah.
Today's episode is all about the 2012 animated film Resident Evil Damnation. The three of us watched it for this episode, and we're going to talk all about it. But before we get into that, I'd like to remind you we are sponsored by Delta Airlines, Microsoft, and McDonald's.
Wow.
Eat,
Big three.
Fly, save. That's what they talk. No, Resident Evil. That's a
quarter
series
pounder in
of
the
video
sky.
games. Those are all major corporations, and the Umbrella Corporation rules everything in like the live action adaptation movies. But this movie, Damnation, is 2 of 4 now. I think the 4th one came out last year. Animated films that take place in the game universe, like slotted in the timeline, like they are all canon with the games. This game takes place, I looked this up in preparation for this on a very confusingly long timeline fandom wiki, garbage site. I think it takes place it definitely takes place after 4. I think it takes place after 5, and I know it's before 6 because the credits want to remind you that Resident Evil 6 in stores right now. This is about the time that game
Wasn't there
came
some
out.
of 5 in there in the end credits as well? There was some scenes of 5 in
it
there.
looked-
so I feel like
it
it's
looked some
happening
of
maybe
it.
at the same time. But yeah, I haven't played 5
Me neither.
outside of... I mean, I think I watched a Let's Play like when the game came out and or whatever. So it's been quite some time. I don't really remember. I just remember it's co-op and there's a lot of
Right. Yeah.
cartoony, kind of more actiony stuff for a Resident Evil game.
Was
in
the
that.
best-selling
But
Capcom game of all time until Monster Hunter World in 2018.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Well, and Resident Evil 5 was the best-selling game because Resident Evil 4 was so famous. So then I heard there's a new one coming out. We got to get it. That's why that tends to happen.
Can I share a story though first before we dive into this?
Please.
Story time.
I texted you both about this, and Resident Evil is starting to run into the issue where we have too many similar like subtitles and also posters. So when I was looking for this movie on Amazon Prime, Damnation wasn't even coming up at first,
Man.
but I kept typing it in, and then Degeneration popped up, but the poster looked a lot like the one I saw on my phone when I was trying to find out where the hell this movie is in case it's not on Amazon Prime.
A movie we already covered on the show,
right,
for folks.
But like I just didn't. And that was like about 2 years ago. It feels like at this point. I think it was 2 years ago when we last watched that first one, and I don't know. I just clicked it because I was just like getting frustrated, and I rented it. And in my anger, while seeing red, I rented the wrong one. I'm like, man, this seems really familiar. Why is this intro really familiar? I'm like, oh, maybe it's just a recap. And then I'm like looking at my like notes.
So you actually got into the movie?
Wow.
It was like 45 seconds where I was like, this isn't right.
Oh, okay.
And then like I paused it, and I'm like, no, this is Degeneration. I need Damnation. And then I'm like, crap, yes. And then
You
I
sure you
figured
don't
that
need
out, and I'm like- and I was
Extinction?
pissed.
Or Afterlife?
Yeah, or Extinction,
Or Retribution?
yeah, whatever.
Disintegration.
Disintegration, Determination. What other words can we throw in there?
That's a good one.
Designation, Destination.
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 Yeah, these
It's
are
a destination wedding the whole time.
Yeah.
It's like nothing
Yeah,
to do with zombies. Leon just has to go to like, I don't know, like
It's not
somewhere in
even
the
his
Caribbean.
weddings. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
just like part of it.
Delineation. Sorry.
Oh my god.
But anyways, I rented. I was like, fuck, I paid fucking $4 to rent this shit, and I've already seen it. And I should have just bought it. Then I wouldn't have been as mad. But I was able to get a refund, but it took me forever to freaking
nice.
find. Amazon, purposely hides their chat away.
Oh, absolutely.
you have to click through a bunch of different shits.
We call
and
those
and
dark
look
patterns.
for video
Resident Evil dark
specifically?
patterns.
Yeah. Basically, but eventually I was like, hey, can I refund this? They're like, well, no, since you watched it. And I'm like, but I didn't, though. I watched 10 seconds of this. And they're like, no. But then they have an option for like a one-time whoopsie, basically, button that you can click. And I'm
Wow.
like, yes, this is a one-time whoopsie. Okay, stop mocking me.
That's
Amazon.
crazy that they can't tell how much you've watched it. Like you would
They
think
say
they would
as
be
soon
able
as
to
you
look.
start it, they said you would get
That's
an immediate
crazy.
refund if you
Yeah.
rented it and then mistaken. But it's my fault. I didn't read correctly. But come on, 5 seconds. You're gonna be. It's
I
like
know, yeah.
I don't know. That's kind of
Maybe
crazy.
maybe I'll
But
do that for Damnation because I rented that on Amazon, then realized I already had it on my computer, and
Oh.
higher quality than what Amazon was streaming to me.
I
so
think
I'm like,
I
well,
don't know. I don't know how like. Because obviously it was a bot that I was talking to.
Sure.
It wasn't a real person. And they kept giving me like prompts to click, so I didn't have to type.
That's the worst.
But it was pretty quick. And I was surprised. I really thought I was like, man, I'm just out $4, and I spent another $4 to rent the actual one.
It's an $8 movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, Resident Evil, you need to stop adding so many. There's so many other live actions, the games, and this, and I'm like,
Well-
that's why they all blurred in my head when I'm searching this shit. I'm like, Damnation, Degeneration. Yeah, we just
you
list off all
scared me
the
when you
ones.
text me that. I like double
I was like,
checked
but that-
as
that
I
was-
was
I was
watching
worried.
it. I
I-
was like, oh shit.
Well, I checked our like Dropbox for our Excel sheet because like maybe I misremembered it. Maybe I am watching the right one, but then maybe Ethan wrote it wrong. I don't know. Like I was just double checking.
It's
just
happened
to
in the
make
past.
sure.
I did the wrong Oni Chambara movie or Corpse, one of the two. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I did one of those wrong last season, so
But it was just like I need to check for ourselves because I'm like I know David probably is already watching this or has watched
Yeah.
it. Now I gotta be like, hey, just so you don't show up to the recording looking like a
Having
dummy
seen the
because you
wrong
watched
one.
the wrong one. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
We're all watching
Degeneration
this
wouldn't have been
one,
a
right?
bad one to have watched by accident first, is, you know, just for context. But yeah, that movie also was a Leon movie that took place after 4, so it's pretty close to this one. And yeah, we watched Damnation. This is what this episode is. So if all this discussion has now made you rethink, am I watching the right episode? You can watch the Degeneration one first with Devin and I, and then hop into this one if you would like. Resident Evil is a video game series, folks. If you didn't know that, this is why it's a video game movie show that we're doing here. I want to go around the table here, this virtual table that we got going on, and ask the folks if, you know, we've played any Resi Evils. I'll start with Devin. Have you played any of those Resident Evil games?
Yeah, I have. I don't think I've played any different ones or any new experiences since we last recorded any of the Resident Evil movies. The latest one I played was Resident Evil 2, the remake, which I really liked. But yeah, one of my first memories of gaming in general was watching my dad play the first Resident Evil and being really
Wow.
freaked out from the tongue dude. But I think
I
he had more
bet.
blood in the first one. I don't know. Maybe it's just my imagination from
Right,
being
as a
young,
kid.
A
being
little
extra
blood probably
scared.
seems like a lot as a kid. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, I just remember there's one scene in the first Resident Evil where you're walking down a hallway and like blood drips from above you and you look up and there's this bloody like tongue dude. And I think, you know, which we see a lot in this movie.
They're called lickers.
Lickers,
Ew.
Yeah.
lickatongues, you know, drop down.
Oh, that would be awful.
Oh, God.
You know, drops down, and my dad always couldn't get past that part from what I can remember. But then we would jump to like Dino Crisis. So, as much as I love to talk about Dino Crisis, Resident Evil was part of that kind of era. I mean, Capcom was part of my young childhood in terms of scary things to watch my dad play. But I've always appreciated a lot of the Resident Evils. I did play a bunch of 4. Me and my cousin played a bunch of 4 like separately as well. I had on PS2 some of the Resident Evil like box sets you could get, like Code Veronica was
Yep.
in there. There was another one in there, but I really struggled with them because I think I had them when I was like 10 or 11. I just couldn't, you know, get them to work for me. Then eventually I would play games like Dead Space and really love those. But those to me are obvious homages to Resident Evil tank controls
Absolutely.
and whatnot. But I've always appreciated Resident Evil, just, you know, the idea of it as well. So
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, David. You play
Yeah,
any of these
I-
Resi games?
while he was talking, I was trying to think. I don't think I've actually played a real Resident Evil game. I've played some of the VR on Oculus, Resident Evil 4, I think that is.
It's a straight port of the GameCube Resident Evil 4
Yeah,
in VR.
which it was a lot of fun in VR. Although that was just when I got VR, so I was like getting sick in the like beginning because I was doing it too long, or like trying to like walk around or whatever. But I know I've like watched like tons of clips, obviously, of like Resident Evil games, like the one with like I think there's like an enormous lady or something in
Resident
one of them.
Evil 8.
Like I've seen so many like videos about that,
Late
but
at
I've never
night,
actually
you were
played.
watching them typically. Late at
Right,
night.
right, yeah, late in bed. No.
We joke, but there's a lot of porn made about that character.
I'm sure. Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, I've seen clips, but I've never played one.
Okay.
So
Maybe we'll change that one of these days. Maybe we'll change that.
maybe.
I have played a few Resident Evils. I think maybe more than Devin, but like we overlap a lot. But like not crazy amounts. I would love to get through them. I've played a little bit of the first Resident Evil, PlayStation 1 version on like the PlayStation 3's, PSN store. I played a little bit of Resident Evil 0. That was a GameCube game. That launched, I think, alongside a GameCube remake of Resident Evil for GameCube. I have not played this version. I still have it sealed from when we got it back in the day, which is crazy for me because I would have just ripped them open regardless of if I was going to play them anytime soon or not. I've played a little bit of the GameCube 4. I don't think I ever beat GameCube Resident Evil 4. Thank you, David. I've never played 5, never played 6, never played Code Veronica. I think that came out before 4, between 3 and 4. There was a 3DS Resident Evil game I played a demo of, and there was like spin-offs galore. But Resident Evil 2 Remake in 2019 is a fantastic game. I played that, beat that. I recommend that. I think actually to David, you could probably get it on Steam for cheap. It's really effective. And no real spoilers, but I think like maybe the second half of the game is when it gets extremely interesting because you remember in this movie, those really big guys, well, imagine one of them stalking you through a museum and all you hear is his footsteps through several layers of muffled wood as he gets closer, like that type of stuff, and he's impossible to kill.
So by effective, you mean like thrillerish?
Oh,
like
here's the thing about
suspense?
Resident Evil.
I thought you were talking about the song.
The Michael Jackson
For some
album,
reason.
yes.
I'm like,
they all do the dance.
Like they all dance.
Yeah, exactly. So to take a quick step back, I also played Resident Evil Village, which is Resident Evil 8. That's the one with the big tall lady. And you know what? There's a VR version of that on PlayStation VR 2. And, maybe one day I will play that game in VR as the character is named Ethan and a giant lady stalks Ethan in VR and says Ethan's name. Maybe I'll just do that one of these days.
Wow.
Without any pants.
Fantasy.
And I won't wear any pants while doing it. On a previous episode, I talked about, hey, Mario 2 is not the real Mario 2, and that's, like, very common gamer, like, factoids or whatever. But Resident Evil also has one as well. The names of the series in Japan is Biohazard. They changed it to Resident Evil in the West. I'm not sure why they didn't like Biohazard. Maybe they thought something would happen as a licensing or rights thing. I don't know, but they chose
knew COVID
Resident
was
Evil.
Gonna come.
Yeah,
COVID was gonna come.
They chose Resident Evil as a name because the first Resident Evil game took place in a mansion. So, and like this is also when like zombies were like synonymous with the evil. Like you could say like they're evil nowadays. Like you would see them more like animalistic. You wouldn't say like, oh, that's the evil as zombies.
Right.
I don't feel
There's
like,
no,
but
like,
this was
intent.
definitely back in the day, especially with all those movies where like Dawn of the Dead and then all these things were like. They are evil type of thing. So that's why they called it that. And when we get to Resident Evil 7, the subtitle of that is Biohazard, but in Japan it's called Biohazard 7 Resident Evil because it takes place in a house. and there's evil people in the house. So that was their fun little spin around.
Yeah,
on
I
that.
do like the title Resident Evil as much as wow, my voice today. As much as Biohazard is also a good title, I think Resident Evil kind of fits the bill for the series as a whole because, yeah, like you said, like it's resident. Resident could mean, even not just necessarily the house. Like to me, it could be like, oh, the neighbors, the village that you go to,
the
like
host inside your
Resident
body.
Evil 4. Yeah, like there's
well.
a lot of kind of ways you can do that.
Only thing
use
I'll
that
argue
language, but-
against that, I agree with you. I think Resident Evil is a cooler name. Some people disagree. They think Biohazard is a cooler name, but I think I'll put in Biohazard's court. This series has a lot to do with different types of biological hazards. Like 7 and 8 have mold as this big weird MacGuffin thing, and like there are multiple different viruses in the series.
It's the same mold in J.K. Rowling's house. Actually, people don't know this, but it's the same mold.
Exactly.
I don't know this J.K. Rowling lore.
Oh, well, you just your profile picture shows
brain.
obvious black mold on the walls and
Brain.
whatever.
That's the disease.
Yeah, that's why she's transphobic. It's the mold's fault. We can still redeem her. We can't. Redeem her. But yeah, so Resident Evil Damnation is the film that we watched today. It follows series characters. Devin, you picked this film, so I want to hear your thoughts first. What did you think on Resident Evil Damnation?
Well, one of the reasons I drafted this movie was, even though the first one, if I remember correctly, we didn't give a strong rating, but we know that at some point there's a lot of gun fu perhaps happening, a lot of just action-y stuff, and there was a lot of action in the first one.
On Twitter.
We saw a singular clip
from one of
Twitter,
the movies
where Leon and another dude are like fighting, and they're always just not close enough to shoot them, but they're shooting with like AKs and shit, like and they're like really close combat going, and it just
insane.
is over the top. It's over the top, but you love to see it. So I was hoping that clip would be in this one. It was not, but I feel like the action was here even more than the first one, or at least the action was more memorable for me. To me, they really just bought more into like, hey, this is unrealistic already. We can just keep, upping the ante a little bit with this. So the action was pretty much nonstop from the beginning, which I liked. I think for these kind of slight video game tie-ins, but not, when I'm missing context maybe from the game or don't remember something from the games, that at least can keep me interested by just the action alone. And I feel like this is a pretty good even just standalone movie. I'm curious to see what David thinks, because I'm assuming he didn't watch the first one, but
I did not.
That to me, and I feel like this is a good, like, just it's separate from the first one. The first one really doesn't even matter. Like, we're just following Leon. Ada Wong's in this again, because I think she was in the first one, right? Am I misremembering?
I don't remember, but she's been in a few of the games. We'll talk about her.
She's in Resident Evil 2. Maybe that's where I'm, like I said, and the cutscenes are really good in that too. So visually, so like I feel like that is why it's blending in my brain. But visually, it looks pretty good. I think it looked better at night. I mean, that's typically how animation and whatnot, I think, always looks better at night, because you can maybe get away with some visual elements maybe that don't look as clean, or some of your models maybe are great, were only made maybe necessarily, and like for example in the games, you make these models to only sit in the corner of a room when it's dark, so it doesn't have to be the most pretty looking thing. Granted, I think they've made their own stuff for this, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they used some of the stuff from the games in this. It wouldn't necessarily surprise me. But overall, I really enjoyed this movie. There's some great quotes. Leon is actually back. We did not like Leon in the first movie. Leon was very mopey and was not like what we know Leon as. I know Leon can be quiet sometimes in the game because you're playing as him. He's not really talking, but when he does speak, you remember what he says. You remember the moments he has. And this, they brought that out, and I think it's because Matthew Mercer plays him this time around. I don't think Matthew Mercer played him in the first one.
I
didn't
believe
even
this is his
recognize
first time being.
I did not know it was Matthew Mercer until I looked at, like, I saw in the credits.
I could tell right away. I'm surprised David couldn't tell.
Really? I guess I don't know. I'm very surprised.
He does a great
didn't know
Leon
that.
because it sounds like pretty close to the Leon I remember in Resident Evil 4, which is more my Leon. And then playing Resident Evil 2, I was like, yes, even more Leon. But to me, Resident Evil 4 has always been kind of my Leon. I will say, like, his character is much closer to the games and much better. But one negative for Leon I had was his facial hair, dude. I like clean shaven Leon. I like pretty boy Leon.
It gets worse. You look up some Resident Evil 6 screenshots. He looks worse.
I know he's trying to make himself a little older. I get it, but like, dude, you're too pretty. You gotta show that
Too
chin.
pretty.
Both came
Show
out
that
and
chin,
took
show those
place
lips.
in '98, and he's like baby-faced rookie cop, literally his first day on the job. This is why he's not. We when we say ACAB, we don't mean Leon because he was never technically a cop. His first day, he never
but isn't
actually
he a
got to
federal
clock
cop?
in.
But isn't he a
really?
federal cop at this point? Like,
Yeah, and you know what? Guess what?
can't
In this
bend it
movie,
for
he
just-
does the Solid Snake stuff of like, I don't really trust the United States government, so
fair. Maybe
You know.
he is an ally I'm willing to have on the team.
Wow.
But yeah, I to me those are like my big points going into this movie that I wanted to see was like, will Leon be better? Will the action be more? And will the story be enough? Overall, like I said, I think it's visually pretty good. There was some parts where I thought the animation wasn't good. We'll get into that. Overall, good enough. I wouldn't say good enough. That makes it sound like I had low expectations, but pretty decent throughout. And I think this is a decent, of all the animated films we've watched for this show, one of the better ones for sure.
nice. I'll go next because I counterpicked this movie, and I counterpicked it
Oof.
because I was trying to make it was a bet with myself because we saw that gun fu clip. I believe it was Chris Redfield he was fighting, or
I don't remember.
I don't know. By the way, Buddy or whatever his name is has Chris Redfield's hair in like Resident Evil 8. So the whole time I'm like, this is so strange. But anyway, I made a bet. I'm like, we saw Degeneration. I have to rethink. Was that the actual name of that movie? We saw that,
Degeneration, yes.
and it looked really dated. It was 2008 animated film, and like, it looked very like, I guess, early Pixar in terms of like when they would do people in like Toy Story. Like, wow, this looks very smooth and shiny, skin type stuff. Like, works for toys. And so I saw that clip. I'm like, this looks so much better. I'm betting it's not the next movie. I bet that's the last one. So I made the bet. I'm like, no, I still think that this next one's gonna be bad. But walked away being disappointed in that. It wasn't as bad as my guess was gonna be. I don't think it's like amazing or anything like that, but like it was a lot of fun. I agree with the animation stuff you're saying. What I think mainly it comes down to is two things. First off, this movie, definitely way more so than Degeneration, heavily inspired by Metal Gear Solid. And when I say this, I mean motion capture that is animated over, right? Which we know is like what common in video games today, but like Kojima was doing that in the 90s and early 2000s. He was still doing that. Particularly a Japanese motion capture actor trained on watching footage and learning from Navy SEAL and Marine type maneuvers and all that stuff with the guns and all that. That's very much what like the Solid Snake actor, like motion capture actor did. And so it's not like an actual person doing that stuff. It is a motion capture actor doing that stuff. So it becomes heightened in the fantastic elements of like, when we look at Solid Snake and how he moves, he's cool as fuck. Leon is the same way in here because there is that detached element. It's like watching a Hollywood movie about cool stuff and emulating that as opposed to like emulating what the real life is. And the camera angles and a lot of the shots in this are actually really well done. The blocking, all of them are really well done. Now, this movie was done primarily to be in 3D. That's why you get a lot of stabs to the face, tongues to the face. Leon's knee goes straight to the camera. There's a lot
I didn't
of
even know
that.
that.
There's a
Didn't
lot.
notice. That
There's
makes
a
more
moment where
sense.
like just the tongue goes straight in and it hangs there. It does that a lot because this movie was in 3D in theaters, and obviously on a Blu-ray as well. So like, but I guess when you really want to show a lot of the scenes to be in 3D with the depth, you have to block it in a certain way, and I think it worked out pretty well. But as far as like the animation goes, a lot of that comes down to me the lighting. In broad daylight, some things don't look great up close, and I think especially like when we get close-ups on characters. Like there's a part where like JD, he's like bent over and it's like real close to the camera. It
Not
looks very
JD Vance,
flat.
by the way.
Well, this JD's cooler than real life JD. When he gets real close, and it looks very flat. And I think it's mainly because I think my prediction on this, my hypothesis is that when you're making an animated thing, just because you've built out a scene doesn't mean that any time you do a cut to something within that environment, it is still that environment and the camera just got closer. They could remove, because it takes a lot of time to render this stuff, and in a movie in 3D, guess what, every frame gets rendered twice. Those computers have to render a slightly different camera focal angle a second time. All this eats up. That's why this movie isn't at that high of a frame rate, I feel like, to kind of compensate for some of that stuff, like the animation. Still 24, but like when things are moving within that interpolation or whatever. So some of the stuff feels like, yes, we had to cut a lot away around, hey, it's just a zoom in on this guy's face, just have the wall, and a light source probably got removed here or there. I think that's what kind of happens in some of this, where it's like, cool, when there's like direct lighting or like the flashlight Leon has, all that stuff looks really well done. It's the same kind of techniques we see in modern day ray tracing stuff got used in animation even before this movie, because it's an offline render with high-end workstations spending a day to render a frame. You know what I mean? Like, they can sit there. I think that the characters are mostly great. We have this big government plot, which is completely nonsensical, boring to me, and like completely, from what my knowledge, having looked at a wiki, because I needed to double check, like, hey, what was this country supposed to be? Eastern Slav Republic?
I
That's
wrote
not
that
real,
down
is
in my
it?
notes.
It's
What
not
country
real.
is this?
Obviously, it's not real.
Not real.
So it's within the context of the video games, and it does not even really seem to matter that much within the context of the video games. A lot of, but this was a movie meant to set up. Ada Wong has a thing now, and we now get to see this thing. This is definitely a, like, the video game stories come first and foremost. What can we slot in between that's not super of consequence but still cool? That's what this movie was. Not of major consequence but still cool. There are boring parts in it, but I overall walked away pleased. David, what did you think about Resident Evil Damnation?
Yeah, I agree with both of you a lot. I know Ethan's a little bit more on the
Episode
critical
over.
side. Devin's a little bit more on the giving it some credit. I was surprised how much I actually liked this. And I guess going into it, I had pretty low expectations just because it's an animated film, and I feel like that it can be harder. I'm just not an animated film fan, I guess, maybe to preface my review. But I was actually surprised. I enjoyed this. I think a lot of what you said, Ethan, about the framing and stuff, I thought it was pretty well done. I think the story-wise, I wrote down a couple things. I thought the thriller element was done pretty well. The door scene where they're trying to open this door and all these, zombies are chasing them.
Right.
I wrote down in my notes, like, I was actually like almost on the edge of my seat. Like, they did it well. I was like, oh,
It's
open the
another
door,
moment
open the door.
where Leon stabs the dude in the head with the crowbar,
Is
goes
it?
straight into the camera.
Yeah. Okay. So I thought that scene was really well done. I also wrote down that I think they set up the power levels of the enemies very well. They have, the normal zombies were already hard to kill, but then they have this like mutant, dog-like thing that are like,
Lickers.
it feels like Leon's like struggling to kill this. And then at the end of the movie, you move on to this creature that's crushing the things that Leon was struggling so hard with. And it's like, it makes you feel like, oh shit, like they're fucked. Like they need to run. And I just felt like that was really well done. Sometimes monsters are not set up correctly. But I definitely felt that power level jump when they moved on to that Titan. Also, the Titan guys' outfits go hard. Big goth boy is what I wrote. The big
before they get all roided out
before the transformation. Yeah.
I agree. I was gonna say they would be hella cool at like a goth club, like just as bouncers or whatever. Like that'd be pretty sick. Yeah.
I think there was definitely some things like you mentioned, like the government plot. I think that was put in just for another twist, which is fine. I didn't love that part. I mean, it made sense with the story and stuff, but it wasn't like I was, I don't know, that surprised. I don't know. What else did I write down? I wrote down, it's funny you mentioned, Devin, like the stormtrooper aspect of previous games. Maybe I wrote down that the fights in this game start like kind of realistic-ish. Like, they're fighting, and then as the goes on, it goes like full stormtrooper. Like people are just like shooting at him, and he's just like running in the open. And you're like, how are they not hitting him?
There was one scene in particular, like when they're in that basement, like secret laboratory area,
like a line of
where
guys.
where the little dudes, SWAT dudes or whatever, like hired army. All were point blank aiming with like M4s at Leon, and they start all shooting at him, and he's just like sprints, dives over cover. And I'm like, hell yeah, like that's like classic action hero logic. Like I can't be hurt. My luck
and
is.
They probably
enormous.
had the animation. Like they probably weren't even caring about like we got to make sure we're aiming in a way where we're not like they probably were just actually shooting him. You know what I mean? And it was just like, nope. Yeah, and he's just behind us.
Yeah, it's just like
bots.
any of it goes all the way back to, I'm sure, to like the early James Bond and all that, where it's just like you're just built different, man. Like you have a force field around you that it just bullets don't hit you.
Right.
It's awesome. I like that shit in movies. I know some people get really mad. Oh, it's unreal. I'm like, you're in John Wick, same thing, where it's like, how does he survive?
I guess,
it's like, it doesn't, because it's cool, okay? Just embrace, just suspend your belief and like let yourself just go and do it. It's for the ride. It's part of the roller coaster, So
I agree. I think it was just weird that it started realism and then went. I guess he didn't really have a ton of guns in the first
escalating that
place.
tension because when we get outside, one of the tyrants, I think that's what the big dudes are called.
Oh, tyrants, that's what they're actually called.
Like picks Leon up in the air, punches him. He goes flying, slams into a pillar that's 20 feet up in the air and falls down.
Yeah,
and he's fine.
And he was fine.
You know what I mean?
He also grabbed him in one of the fight scenes, and then like something happens and he throw him down. And I was like, why did he not just crush him? Like he did it with literally all of those wolf things.
You're the main character. You get a lot of benefits.
Exactly. He got an extra life. Well, I mean, also like to talk about Leon again. Still, they don't make him like super ultimate, like clairvoyant. He's always got this way out because there's many times where like he's just gonna die here and he gets saved. Like with the first encounter with a liquor in this film. He's out. It's just because the thing was called back is what saved him.
Right,
I mean, they get like the final two tyrants get killed by a plane, which was really awesome. Again, escalating that like the first one gets like shot the hell up like instantly, and you see just like a spinal cord sitting out of like legs, and then that falls
cool.
down.
Yeah,
very cool to be like there is an
which by the way during that
here.
part, like we had our balcony like sliding door open, and it was a little windy outside. We were getting like a rare rainstorm, and like right when the airplane like shot, like it was like a millisecond before our potted plant outside got like pulled like got like wind like
jeez.
threw it over, so it kind of like it was like what the
Oh
fuck,
my
like
God.
I was like
Sonic
that's too
boom
real.
from the jet.
Yeah.
Affected.
Oh
Yeah,
my
it knocked down my plant in real life.
It's funny.
So credit to this movie, I've never seen that before.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't want to get into it, but if you want to look up r/aquariums to see what the drama is, talking about fighter jets and sonic
Oh
booms.
yeah, that's
Oh my God.
yeah.
But yeah. Go on, David.
Sorry, just a couple more things that I want to point out that were cool. The Titan or Tyrant. I mean, he just caught the RPG. I was like, damn, that was pretty.
And
pretty
then he
dope.
shot it up. It was like
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
It
pretty
up or
sick.
something. Yeah.
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 That was it. I just wanted to mention that because it was.
I
sick.
like the scene where like they're trying to climb into the elevator, because like the door goes down and you can actually see because with the motion capture of these of Leon and them, like camera's perspectives on the ground in the elevator, we're seeing out as it's closing down. You see like their feet. I literally pantomimed it with my legs as if you could see that they're like kind of getting a little nervous, like quickly slide underneath. Door closes, cool. We press the button. You can see on the back wall, elevator is going up slowly, and then one of them just rips through the door and is trying to climb in, but and they're both too heavy, so it causes the thing to fall. It's not super clear.
It was very
if
much
they are the ones that return at the end or not, because that's a.
It was very much like
Pretty far
Jaws or just big shark movie, like in general, where the shark cage, you think you're safe. Okay, we got through the thing, and then it it gets. And I'm sure, and a lot of horror games have done this too. Dead Space, like I talked about earlier, does the same. There's one point in the game where you think you're good in an elevator, that's your moment to breathe, and then like something either comes from the ceiling or it breaks through the door. You don't expect it to.
Metal Gear Solid does that by having soldiers in invisible like camo hiding in there until it's already moving up. But there's a lot of cool moments in this. For
By the way,
sure.
I wanted to mention right at that scene too, when they do escape, they climb up that ladder. I felt that. Like I saw this ladder, I'm like, I don't know if I could do that. Like ladders aren't terrible. I've been in my handful of ladders throughout my days, but just seeing how far to go up, both
It
the
was pretty
anxiety
wild.
of how high I have to go and how high I have to go in terms of I'm scared of heights.
Right.
I can't
far you
really
have
get
to fall.
tired. Yeah, I'm
Yep.
just like that really hit me there. I was like,
Question.
damn. I'm like, I'm looking up in real life because I'm just visualizing in my head. I'm like, I don't think I could do it.
Question. When you climb a ladder similar to that one there, are you with your hands like this or on the sides hands like this?
I'm probably that one.
kitty
since there's
paws,
bars,
For sure.
I'm doing-
or are you
I'm
gorilla?
I'm kitty paw. I think I'm more using my
especially
head
that
and my
high.
back and stuff. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess
This
because like
seems-
if your hand slips like this, it's gone. If your hand slips like this, like you're still like you got a little bit of. I just thought that I'm like I've seen back and forth in movies and stuff. I'm like, which is supposed to be the correct?
I feel
way?
like I do the sides going down,
Sure,
Yeah,
okay.
David's always- I've
well,
seen-
yeah. If you're
because
gonna
I,
slide,
So you
I
do
just
the
do the
slide
slide. Yeah.
yeah, sure.
Do you
sure,
actually
sure.
do that in
just-
real life? Are you bullshitting?
I think I've done it
Especially
once.
when you get a
but
ladder
I
that's all
don't
chipped
usually
with
do that.
paint
No.
and you slide down, and then now you got lead in your blood.
My dad, who was an electrician growing up, he said one time he was going down a ladder and he like slips and his like wedding ring got like caught on it and it like got messed up.
That's like a
his
big
finger.
thing, like degloving your finger with your wedding ring. Yeah, it's a big thing.
Remember
good.
describing it to me and I'm like, this is
Yeah.
why I don't wear any. I'm never gonna have anything because
Yeah.
in case I climb that ladder in Resident Evil,
Yeah.
I'm gonna
well,
be
you
good.
don't have to wear.
You're
it
supposed to
while
wear
you're
like a
going
rubber one.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Resident Evil Damnation. We have a few characters in this film. We have Leon S. Kennedy. I don't think there's any relation to the Kennedys within the Resident Evil universe.
Thank God, because he'd be one, he wouldn't have this luck, or maybe he is related to the Kennedys and he took all the luck.
He
from
took all the luck.
families.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
Right. He has the
'Cause
charm
none of the other
though,
ones
of Kennedy though. We have him. We have JD, and I think his name is Buddy or Patai.
Yes, secretary / buddy, and then there's Svetlana. Sorry,
Right, the
Svetlana
the
Bilakova.
president. Yep. We have her butler, assistant, servant dude. We have Ada Wong. There's like
he was the secretary. He played two characters, David Vincent, secretary and buddy.
Okay.
So that's why I got confused. I was like, why are they listed as separate? Yeah, and it was called Tyrant. Shout out to Michael McConey, who did the Tyrant voices, I guess.
Yeah, very imposing figures. Works very well with the camera shake and the audio of the thumps on the feet and stuff like that. But we have these few characters, and I will say, like, just to, I guess, not just say only positive things about the movie, because I did enjoy it a lot. Despite the fact that I counterpicked it. Hey, whatever. My whole thing this draft has been YOLOs, so you know what? I'm okay with this. But just to be a little bit critical, I found a lot of the pacing early on to be weirdly off. There's a moment where Buddy goes to get the plaga, right, which is the thing he's gonna inject himself to control stuff, but it's also the thing that Ada shows Leon when all these little organisms in like the hexagon honeycomb type hive type things as well. Not entirely sure which was which or whatever, but anyway, Buddy goes to get that. We're in the church, and then JD says, "I need you to go get it before him because it's just gonna ruin his life. It's gonna destroy him. I don't want him to die. It's gonna kill him or whatever." They set it up like, okay, Leon is going to go on like an adventure, a longer journey. And the way the pacing works, he goes, it's already been taken. Ada's there. Leon and Ada fight. Ada gets away. And then Leon's just back there. It's one of those things where it's like, I got the impression we were saying goodbye to JD until the end of the movie and not just like 5 minutes later. What I would have, suggested I would have given them the note to do if I was a producer, just have 15 seconds of different cuts of Leon walking or running through environments on his way back to the church, just to show that there is a distance, because it felt like it was around the corner, like right around the corner. You know what I mean? Just something
really
like that.
Did feel like Dad was
going to
go pick up some milk down the street.
He
does return. He does return though.
Yeah, he does. He wasn't, he believed in his cause. I definitely do not see that guy being a school teacher for children, though, but whatever. He's definitely got, unless he was like the drill sergeant teacher. So like there's stuff like that. And like, in the beginning where it's like, where are we going and what are we doing? A little bit confused.
It was a little bit confusing with with them trying to find the thing so they could control the zombies or whatever, the infected. I was just a little bit confused because I feel like they said it real quick and I didn't like fully register with me for whatever reason. And then it wasn't until we got to the part you were just describing where I'm like, okay, so he has the thing, but the government also has their own, or is looking for, like, I was confused by, because they did have a bunch of their own. So I was like I think they need to like simplify that a little bit more, but
because the old man could do that, but like he's one of, I watched this movie twice.
I watched
this
he
once
took
a few
the
days ago, and I
injection.
watched it again last night. But the old man, he controlled the first liquor that Leon was attacking, and he stopped it. So he had a thing within him for sure. But he's also like one of the elders things, and the whole thing with the government, and she's the elected president, and like there's an insurgency attempting to happen that these elder council are a part of.
They kept mentioning the elder. They kept mentioning the elder council. I think they should have just got rid of that idea.
They should have.
They should have simplified it. Because I feel like they kept mentioning the elder council. Then towards the end, they're like, "Oh yeah, we basically killed them, but we're gonna blame it on the
terrorists."
Which to me, I did like this setting. I'm a sucker for like Cold War-esque Eastern European like settings when it comes to fantasy or these kind of movies, right?
Did you like the thing at the beginning where they start showing the intro things in Russian and then wiping them into English?
Flips.
That October, Hunt for Red October, or whatever the movie did back in the day.
But no, I like this setting. I like this kind of stuff. But I feel like they needed to just either you had to show this high council like frequently enough to make me care for them, or just they shouldn't exist.
More or
and it should
less.
Just,
We're
I
in a
think it would
weird
have worked
time.
still. I think it should still would have worked if the government already knows that they have the hands on the control device. I keep forgetting what the word they
The
use for it.
plaga.
The plaga. Yeah, they have the plaga, or have plagas plural, but they, they're saying that, well, the freedom fighters, the terrorists, they have some of them, but if they get more, like, we might lose this thing. We know they want to attack us. We know they're at our doorstep. I feel like that if they just I think just stuck with that, I think that would have made it easier to understand. Then you could have Leon kind of figure this out with the audience, being like, okay, these are what the freedom fighters want. This is what the government wants. And also through Ada Wong, they could have done the same thing where Ada Wong was playing more for the government. Leon quickly becomes more of the freedom fighter. And like you could have that conflict, I think, shown, like, just because I started figuring out stuff as they showed it, which was good. I think that's how you should do it. You don't need to have every answer right in the beginning.
Right.
Sometimes I don't like that in movies where they're like, here is an info dump in the first part of the movie and we won't ever talk about it again. You have to remember
And this
all this
movie
stuff.
kind of felt like it did that with like the whole history of
a
the
little bit.
region. But
I
I
feel like it
understand
got
what you're
better.
saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it was better. I don't know. To me, I think it was this is one of those examples where yes, we give you info, but we're gonna make sure we keep showing you the important thing. It doesn't really matter where this is taking place. It's more of just who are the characters, what is their goal.
Right.
So for me, like, I didn't really care. I remember Eastern Slav Republic or whatever, but like it didn't really matter to me. I just know it's somewhere in the East, and there's this conflict. I think that's totally okay to do in this for this kind of movie. If this was like a setup for 3 movies or something, and it's all going to take place here, then yeah, you probably need more
Right.
power struggles shown, more characters shown. But I think overall, I do agree with what you're saying, Ethan. I think it needed to be like fixed in some parts, but I don't know. I feel like for me, I just enjoyed the setting enough that I'm like, I can just be like, whatever. Like, it doesn't. I don't really need to know all the details about how this country even works. How was she voted in? Any of this stuff. Like, I just be like, yep,
Right.
let's go with this. Like,
I
cool.
will
She's
say just
the bad guy, if you want to interpret that, and they're the freedom fighters.
Yeah. Just two things. I was confused at what her goal was and why they played her up like, oh yeah, there's this freedom stuff, but she's always she's has the whole thing under control type stuff, but like it felt really not shown. I'm not quite sure what her goal was, just to get accepted in the United Nations or just be recognized as a country.
I think it was her,
but like,
she was
why
trying to just keep her.
What was the
her
deal?
power.
What was the deal with all the biohazards that they had? Like, how did that play into what her goals were? I was a little bit confused. Like, was she just trying to be a superpower, or
yeah?
what?
I think she's trying to. She was trying to use those to basically end control them and then use them to wipe off the freedom fighters, because the freedom fighters were winning, and I think she kept saying she had under control. I think it was like a confidence for her, trying to show her confidence that like, oh, they think they're going to win this. Like, we already know they're going to try to attack the Capitol on this date. This is a trap so we can take out, the last of the forces. We're going to win this. And yeah, she wanted to show that, like, she's can be, and she will be the president. This country will be, in the UN or whatever, EU, and show that we're an actual power. We're not going through a civil war. The civil war is over. That to me is what it's like a I'm trying to think of an example, because I feel like I've seen this before, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, I think it's just this is her way of grabbing power and solidifying it. Is if I just beat back these terrorists, we won't have any problems. And that's why the U.S. and Russia were involved, because it's just kind of that Cold War element to it, where they're both trying to, take claim to the power themselves, whether by, bribing her or putting in their own puppet, for example.
Yeah,
and then the freedom fighters were more like
be within the other games. I don't know how the governments of the world in the video games
and I think
interplay.
the freedom fighters, how I interpret the freedom fighters, were just more of your people who actually lived there, most of their lives, the generation, and they're the ones who just want their own type of government to run for them. And I think they're kind of pointing to like Leon's critiquing America, because as much as America is being pro-democracy, right, America wants to put in their own puppet because, this is a significant territory in the Eastern Bloc near Russia. Russia wants to be taking control of it because it's an important block of
The president
Russia,
does mention
right?
oil prices at some
And
point.
oil
so,
prices too. So I think
that's where your interest comes
I think it
from,
could have
from
been
America.
I think it could have been done a little bit better for sure.
It just
but
needed a
once
little
again-
bit more explanation, or less. Honestly, more
Yeah,
or
that-
less. It's
right.
in this limbo. And the other thing I want to say too, I don't think any of that mattered in the grander scheme of Resident Evil. Not knowing too much about the whole story, very confusing. Honestly, Resident Evil is more confusing than people give it credit for. But I haven't played them all. But what I do know is pretty much every single game and these movies, these animated movies so far, have been just incident or isolated incidents of a thing. Mansion, the first one, the police station, which is a renovated museum, and all of Raccoon City and Resident Evil 2. All of Raccoon City and Resident Evil 3, they take place at the same time, 2 and 3. We got the thing in Spain with Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 5 is a little bit of a globe-trotting thing. Same thing with 6. 7 takes place in a house. Resident Evil 8, Village, takes place in a village. And it's about just that isolated thing going on. So this being like, yep, here's another place where there's stuff going on.
Yeah.
It's not like it's a, this now has sweeping consequences type thing, to my knowledge. So that's where the whole like government stuff is like, cool, give me more or give me less, because I don't really care, but give me enough to care. It's in this middle part where I'm just confused. That's my whole thing.
It definitely felt like they knew what they wanted to do, like setting and action wise, and then they were like, oh well, like the lore or the like how we connect them was like kind of the second thing they thought about. It was like, oh, right. Well, what if it was because of this? And then they were like, yeah, that makes sense. And then it, like you do that 4 or 5 places and it's like, wait a second, but do these connection points actually make sense? Like,
yeah, it was definitely a little muddy for sure.
They wanted to establish that Ada Wong has a thing. I think honestly that's it. That character, she is like a international woman, a mystery. No one knows who she works for. Double, triple crossing. She doesn't work for Umbrella. She kind of works for an alternate company, but not really. Even at the end of this, it's like, oh well, maybe I won't sell this to you, whoever the person on the computer she was talking to was, kind of thing. So like I think they just wanted to set up that because that's probably a thing in Resident Evil 6. Because I think this takes place before 6 and that game was coming out. So like she's going to have, we're explaining something. That's like, I feel like the only real connecting tissue other than here is a character you like with Leon doing stuff. But she was cool. I think her fight with the president was actually pretty well done. I will say a very funny thing. They go at length to, sometimes comically, to whenever Ada's fighting and flipping around, have always something covering the underside of her skirt whenever she's flipping around. Like, there's one part where it's a gun doing that, and then she kicks Leon towards the end, and it's just dark in there. But they just show them like, well, you went through all of this clever when you can think of.
Well, I think
there.
I feel like it's just kind of teasing the audience, being like, oh, we know that she's hot, and you want to take a peek, but we're purposely going to emphasize that. But like, later on when it's like we're trying to just get through action, trying to show action, I think then they stop doing it. But I think just for that scene, because that was our first like real fight scene too, if I remember correctly.
I don't remember if it took place before or after she.
No, yeah, never mind. I think she fought Leon, but that fight was pretty quick though too. To be fair, I think it was just showing that Leon was out of his league with her. But no, I like that fight. That made me appreciate more because I was talking about earlier how I think most animations are great, but there was one scene in particular I wanted to point out was when Svetlana, the president there, and this fight scene made me be like, okay, like at least they didn't like mess up here. But I feel like there's one part where she's like sitting at her desk and her hands are like very like just very classic old school video game where like we just have the model sitting in the like we could only do so many things with the model, where her hands were very like felt very flat, and she didn't look like she was actually sitting in a chair. it felt very like we just
Sure.
Placed her.
placed her there. You know what I mean? And
There's a
we
moment
just
where
have the
Ada
camera
falls
and
down from the rope, and we know that one of her heels is off, but she lands as if, like, she's standing as if her posture is standing upright.
I noticed.
Because they probably just had her drop to an elevation. You know what I mean?
She
'Cause the
put it
camera
back
is-
though. I thought about that because I was like, oh,
While
I'm
she was
waiting for her to
falling?
be I was waiting for her to be holding the knife. She wasn't holding the knife anymore. She like put it back.
which was cool, by the way.
Yeah.
I asked Bryn, "Is this true that all women have knives in their heels?"
Yeah.
She said yes.
Yeah.
So just be warned.
I bought
men
one,
out there.
so-
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
But,
we just got to wear them ourselves, and then it's even.
Yeah.
But there was like
Equality.
that scene. There was that scene that really that really stood out to me. I'm like, oh, that's not great there, because everything else like was pretty good of like where people were standing and like whatnot. But that was, for whatever reason, when she was sitting, it just looked a little weird. But later on, when she was sitting, it looked a lot better. Or maybe they just had the angle in a better spot, so it didn't look as awkward. But no, yeah, that fight scene was cool. I was like, cool. This is what, like, once again, maybe if I won't get my gun fu that I thought I would get.
It was
in
that
this one,
moment
at
where
least
like,
we had-
oh, okay, there is going to be not bad action. Because the Degeneration was just fine. It was just fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It saved all its action for like the last 10 minutes, but
Oh,
to be fair, this one
yes.
did have a lot in the last 10 minutes, but it was really cool with the tank and everything. I called it tank fu. If
Tank
tanks
fu.
Really?
could
That's hilarious.
Yeah, there's the
fight,
moment where Leon's like
that'd be
slapping
cool.
the thing in the head with the barrel.
Yeah.
But just to keep on the
Yeah.
president, there's a cool shot I liked. I don't know what you guys thought about, like, oh, it was a little bit skeevy or whatever, but where the assistant comes in and she's like picking out a blouse or whatever to put on, and so she's just wearing a bra. She's got like a skirt on as well. I liked that because it reminded me a lot of what you might see in a film that has like the Yakuza as an element, where like guy walks into the clan leader, the Yakuza clan head, and he would have his shirt off, and you would just see that full back tattoo of like a tiger or a koi fish, or like that's the whole Yakuza thing, like that's the
Dragon,
state of
yeah.
power, and she has like scars or infection all down her back, and like she's unfazed or whatever that someone is walking in on her shirtless or whatever. That like was a PowerPoint, not Microsoft PowerPoint. That was a like powerful, like a posture type of thing where I'm like, cool, I get the implication. You're saying that she is in control really, really well.
But
I thought
also
it was
like it
also-
adds part to her character. I feel like that she's been through some shit as well, like, which I think, once again, I think we talking about like the whole story element of this with like the different factions and their goals and whatnot, where they could have been a little bit more clear on it. I feel like this ties into that, where I'm like, I feel like they wanted to show more with that, where it's like, yeah, because this country's been at war for whatever. She fought her way to get to this point as well. You know what I mean? Like, everyone's fighting their own battles in this war. So I kind of like that as well. But once again, I think it ties into our kind of main pickiness with the story as a whole, where we're like, we want a little bit more or a little bit less. But I think it just adds to her character in a good way. I don't think there's a negative for sure with that. I just wanted a little bit. I wanted even a little bit more with that, just being like, okay, that's cool. Like, because they don't really talk about her, like how she got there, but to me, that's kind of telling me that she's been through the war itself at some point, whether as a
And this is
child
a
or
character that will
victim,
never
but-
return again. So,
Right.
like, how much do they care to flesh out a character like that?
So I'm actually going to disagree with you guys. I don't think that was showing scarring from battles. That was to tell us, oh, she has this infection and that's how she's controlling these things.
I couldn't
There
tell
was
if it
only
was
one
or
scarring,
infection.
and it was the like infection. There
Yeah,
was
it's kinda
nothing
hard to tell,
else.
I guess.
Like there was no slash marks. There was no like big scars. It was only the infection. From what I saw, I mean, you guys could absolutely be right, but to me, it was.
Well, you weren't staring too much at her back because you were being respectful.
Right, yeah.
You're like,
Right. I averted my gaze, but the one peek I got, it looked like it was just. It felt like to me, like this is like she has this thing that the other guy has been using to like control them, and like this is how she is controlling them.
That's
Is what
kind
I
of
got
what I
from
read
it
it
at
as
least.
well, but it was a cool visual nonetheless.
I understand what you mean.
I got
Yeah, she
two
didn't
more
care
little
that
quick
he
things.
saw it.
But as I'm saying this, think about any other scenes you want to talk about. Two funny little things. The old man, he's getting and then Buddy and JD have to put him down in that underground hallway, and we see from Leon's perspective as well. But we get that thing where Buddy puts the gun straight into the camera, because it's 3D, but he shoots out. And then from Leon's perspective, you hear more shots from him. Bang, 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 bang. I'm like, are you missing? What are you doing? I just thought that was funny. And then also, this is another character. I don't remember what her name is, but she's in Resident Evil 4. It's Leon's person in the chair, handler on the comms. I think she might have been in Degeneration as well. Just same thing.
I think so.
Just it's the woman that was on the computer. When they cut to her at the end, not on the screen, but actually within her on the thing, she's in some computer room thing, and it's got all of these black squares around her. And my first thought was oh. It's like when someone gets a lot of money and wants to become a streamer, so they buy all those foam audio blocks, not knowing how any of that works, so they coat their entire walls with them, thinking that that's what's required, and not just a couple placed around. That's just was my thought, too. Wow, she got her YouTube silver medal
but I am jealous.
thing. And
I've always wanted a nice studio space with 12 monitors. They're all are green, and I feel really hackery. So I'm pretty jealous.
You would need a couple
Green
rigs
text.
for that. I don't know how many monitors.
Whatever
Windows
happened to
can
that?
support.
I thought we were supposed to get cool Matrix computers at this point. Everything's just now RGB.
Everything needs to be able to fall apart so quickly that you buy a replacement for.
I know. God damn. I did want to talk about one scene. I want to talk about the ending scene because I felt like it wasn't. It was kind of confusing.
Kills the guy. He didn't.
But
Yeah.
well, because they mentioned earlier, Leon mentions in it what sounds like a throwaway line, but isn't. But I did remember it, where he says that if you're infected, you
have to
either
rip out the spinal cord. He says that to JD.
you have to rip out this. That's the only way to save it, and you don't want to go through that or whatever. So then at the end, but the way and this is also called back to another scene where Leon says something to JD, and they both disagree, but then one of them makes a decision, and I just still didn't get that part. And then they did it again with this,
You
and
have
I
your
still
answer,
don't
and
get
I
it.
have mine. He says
But
that
then
to
Leon,
Buddy,
but then Leon shoots him to. I'm assuming he's so good of a shot, he knew where to shoot.
His spine, I guess.
Which it was definitely a gunned into the camera, angle.
But I just want to talk about that more because I was just confused.
It was
by
very
what
confusing.
he was saying to him, but then did what felt like the opposite. Anyways.
Well, because your spine goes all the way up, and so but he shows him using his arms in a wheelchair. So I was like, okay, well,
it really wasn't that bad.
He shot him halfway down. The infection wasn't all the way up.
Yeah, it is a bit confusing. Obviously,
we definitely could have saved people.
Cord
Leon.
injury can put you in a wheelchair where your arms still work and your legs don't, I guess. But we didn't get a visual on how this infection affects the body to know.
Yeah,
because the way he describes it, I see the entire spine being coated because you have all those nerves going up and down.
I thought he would be
it's got to be able to.
I thought you'd be to get rid of the infection. You'd be you'd be that old lady fish in SpongeBob SquarePants who doesn't want any of the chocolate. That's what I literally visualized in my head.
She's only the spine.
That's why I'm like, because the way Leon said it made it seem like it was pretty much you don't want to live that life. But then he's living he's just in a wheelchair,
he has
in his
to
town
go
that is
uphill.
saved. And,
I know.
but I'm saying
those kids wanna help
Leon,
him.
we definitely could have saved all those people that you said we shouldn't have saved. If that is the worst that they'll be in, is just a wheelchair and they can't use their legs. I feel like I would take that trade personally. You don't have to be fucking know me, dude. It's over, dude. I'd be like, I'm okay going.
Yeah, because I got the impression that Buddy didn't realize that was a possibility because he's just I'm gonna kill myself. You know what I mean?
But
at
first I was like,
to be a twist, a little bit because he shoots it and then we cut to Leon in his hotel with the bottle of vodka or whiskey or whatever it was, being just pissed off at the world.
So does he pay for those apartments?
I
Or
mean, he
those,
was
like,
on
hotel
vacation.
rooms.
And I did actually like we say goodbye to Leon in this movie. I like it. It's dumb, but I like it. The door opens and it's completely white. You know what I mean? He's walking out of the film.
To heaven.
I like that. To heaven. No,
I do like the idea of making a Resident Evil and calling it Resident Evil Destination, and has nothing to do with zombies or anything, but it's just like Leon's like cousin's getting married and he was invited. He doesn't really want to go
to his
and
destination wedding.
It's a destination wedding, and it's like him dealing with like the airline like being delayed. He forgot his wedding
What would you
gift
do
on the
as a
flight, or I don't know.
gameplay,
No, not a game. I want a movie where it's just
Oh,
Leon.
okay, fair enough.
Like
fair enough.
it's just the classic like stresses of every destination wedding that people have gone through, and it's just like, but you're living it through Leon, and like it's a comedy. It's a romantic comedy. Maybe Leon finds love in this.
huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. This
I
is
would
just
always
me
feel
like
awkward
like
if I
we
was
need
ever
we
getting
need a
married
we need
and
a
needed to and was getting married in like Hawaii or somewhere. I'm like, I'm asking all my family to buy plane tickets. I would feel like, eesh, I don't know.
I'm just gonna say, because I've had family members who've done a lot of destination weddings. I'm just gonna hold my peace, not sharing my opinions on destination weddings. But I would love
Like
to
it's one
see
thing.
a
It's like,
Leon
yeah,
destination
my brother
wedding.
lives in Las Vegas and I'm in New York, and like that's one thing to be like, yeah, you have to come to me.
No,
for
yeah,
the wedding,
it is.
but, like,
I'll just share my, because I'm joking. But like, no, like for me, I'm always like, I feel that because I'm like, if I ever got married, I would hate to just even living in Colorado. I'd already feel bad having everyone having to fly out here for me. Like I'd be like, no, come here because you're going on vacation first. Like that'd be my thing. But like, yeah, some of these destination weddings, people be doing them in like Spain or something, and everyone lives
crazy.
in America, and it's like, yeah, hey, can you drop
I would do
$2,000
that if I
to
was
fly?
uber rich to be like, I'll buy the hotel.
Yeah.
And I'll buy all your plane tickets.
Right.
That's one
But
thing.
sometimes it's people like will be like, yeah, like we don't make a lot of money, but the expectations you have to be there.
Yeah, it's yeah.
But that's why I want
First
Leon to
world
be in. I
problems,
want
am I
Leon.
right?
Leon's got to be in a situation where his second cousin, like someone he doesn't even know, but maybe that's part of the joke, is that like, but his mom texted him and said, you need to come to this wedding. It's like, I don't even know Beatrice. I don't know who
Wow.
this is.
Well,
The
you
movie
met
makes
her.
You think
you
that
met
there's
her.
going to be a zombie outbreak there, but there never is.
Or,
Yeah.
or
Never-
the action is him deterring all the wedding crashers that are coming. He's like beating up all these wedding crashers.
He doesn't want
using
to,
his
but he knows he
freaking
Yeah,
has
just
to.
like,
Don't
I gotta
let
protect
people
the
around.
wedding.
He's like, I hate this
All
wedding,
right.
but I gotta protect it. Yeah, that's where the Resident Evil comes in, because it's
Okay, folks. Well, I think we talked enough about the movie. It's time to give it a tier and give it a final stamp on the whole thing. So here on the Sonic Movie Show, we watch these video game movies, and we like to give them not necessarily a ranking list, but a tier list. We throw them into S, A, B, C, D, E, or F. And for this season of the Sonic Movie Show, we did a draft. The three of us each picked 6 films. We're going through them sequentially, as you can see up above. This was Devin's third pick, and this was also a counter pick of mine. We'll talk about that in a second. But there's points on the line, and depending on what the tier that we collectively
points.
give it. So whatever we personally think, we have to come to a conclusion on this. As of right now, David is in the lead with 13.31 points.
Getting nervous.
Devin, you could probably pass him. He's currently at 11.46 with only 2 movies. I'm at 9.11 with all 3 of my movies.
Whoa.
there goes our
so
video
far.
again. We could keep getting flagged,
Jeez.
every time you say.
Yeah.
I actually heard
Nice
that's a
going,
thing
Ethan.
that like even saying the word could like
Really?
like if we don't have ads on our videos, but if we did, I've heard that like that will demonetize your shit just mentioning. Because there's one channel I watch where they have to edit out every time they mention it to 9:12. They just change it in post,
Oh my God.
which is funny. Yeah, I guess Do you want me to share?
Well,
all
first,
the...
I just want to point out that this is what the points are. S, A, B, C. It's just simply 6 all the way down. There's counterpoints. There's counterpoints. So when we did our Super Mario Brothers, The Great Mission to Rescue Princess Peach film, that was a counterpick. So Devin and David, both of them counterpicked that film. Got points depending on how bad we thought the movie was. It's the same thing for this one with me. If we think it's too good, I'm actually going to lose points. So I'm very curious to see where we nut out personally. But yes, Devin, in 3 minutes or less, please describe what these different tiers mean. Go.
So S tier is the superior tier. We don't have too many movies in this one, but they're video game movies that we call superior, like I said. Ones that are just, we really have nothing to critique them on. If there are any critiques, it's very, very tiny. Overall, just fantastic films to watch that we'd rewatch multiple times. Should have said at the beginning, all these tiers are on a video game movie curve. So an S movie, video game movie might be a B or an A to you when you're like, yes, Detective Pikachu is a great film. It should belong in S tier, but I wouldn't put it as good as, whatever movie you can think of. That's fine. This is just for video game movies. So S tier, we have like Detective Pikachu, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Prince of Persia, Sands of Time, for example. Then in D is in the Excel sheet here. It says D. A, I'm already fucking up. D, I don't like seeing it now. It stresses me
it's
out.
pressure.
We're already at B now.
I know. A tier. A tier is for movies that are missing that special sauce to get to S tier, but still, we will take A tier every day of the week here. These are great movies with, just great elements in them. There's nothing really we have too many issues with, but sometimes you're just missing that secret sauce. And for example, we have Sonic the Hedgehog, the first one, where we're like, oh, this is a great start. We want a little bit more, and we got that in the second one. We have Mortal Kombat 2021. We have Uncharted with Tom Holland there. Wonder what he's up to. B, we have Mortal Kombat. Sorry, I fucking think he's changing. We do have Mortal Kombat, the other Mortal Kombat, the 1995 one. B tier films there's a lot more pros than cons in this. Still very good movies. We have a lot of fun with these. We have movies like Resident Evil, Nino Kuni, Silent Hill as well. A lot more good than bad. And just really solid films. Then we have our tiers that have a lot of movies in this, which is C tier, which is just kind of average. Maybe it's 50-50 of good, 50-50 bad. And just kind of just all right films for the most part. But maybe some of them are more fun. We kind of always joke that we have tiers within tiers, and I feel like C has a lot of tiers in it because it's sometimes hard to bring a movie out of C tier or even bring it down to a D tier. These are just all right movies. A lot of the Resident Evil movies are actually in here, including Degeneration. We have also the live action Apocalypse, Extinction, Retribution. We also had Welcome to Raccoon City, which I think was higher for us than compared to what other people thought. But yeah, C tier. Then we have D tier, which is mostly bad. There might be some good elements in here, but it's mostly bad. We have movies like Assassin's Creed, Doom. I should preface too, some of these D movies might also be well made, like visually and whatnot, have great actors in them, but maybe the script's just shit. Assassin's Creed, perfect example of that. Warcraft, visually really good. I always say it, we don't remember what happened in that movie. I couldn't name a character in it.
Right.
Then we have E for pretty much bad. Like, this is awful. A lot of the bad movies go here. We have Blood Rain, Mortal Kombat Annihilation, King of Fighters, and we just put one of David's movies in there last week with Dead Trigger. Then F we save for pretty much not just bad, but just like downright offensive tier. We hope to never put a movie again in here, but you never know. But right now it's saved for Postal because that movie shouldn't have been made. Do not see this movie. Do not pirate that movie. Don't even think about that movie. I'm just not even thinking about it. I don't even know what I just said.
What movie?
What?
Wait, we're talking about movies? Thank you, Devin. It's a schematic ending there. But thank you, Devin. We are now going to give our pitches around the horn.
Around the globe.
I'm really interested to see what Devin starts off with.
I know. And Devin, since this is your pick, give us your pitch. What tier do you think Resident Evil Damnation belongs in?
I said earlier, a lot of Resident Evil movies have been in the C tier. Outside of the first Resident Evil, which to me has always been one of my childhood films because I watched it so many times, one of my childhood favorites there being in B tier. And that movie just has a vibe that I can't really describe outside of everything fits in that movie in a interesting package. It's not perfect by any means, but I really love that movie. Also, soundtrack slaps. A lot of the reasons we have other movies in the C tier most of the time is because the plot is either what you thought from the sequel was going one direction and they kind of throw it away and they do something else. The action's always been good. That's one thing we can always say about all these Resident Evil movies, live action and animated, is that the action's always been here. So like I think we got to give credit for that. But what, like I said, the live actions really struggled with was like every new movie was like a new, completely new story, plot, you name it. It felt like they're like, you know what? I know we said we were doing clones in this one. What if we just killed them all off in the first 2 minutes and went a completely different direction and like really grounded this film? When we were always like, sure, we're okay with that, but like, why even do the other movie that like if you're not even doing that? At least with this movie. It does kind of a similar thing, right? Where we have a completely new plot here, a new story. Leon is back. But guess what? I think this movie is a great standalone movie and doesn't suffer from that the live actions do. Degeneration we gave a C because we thought it had a great first half and then kind of was like, what in the second half? This movie from the beginning is fun throughout. There was never a moment where I was like, man, this is boring, whatever, or I don't care about this. And if there was, it was so quick in passing that we moved on to the next thing. And maybe sometimes things move too quick. Like we talked about Leon, like running to go stop whatever his name was, or JD tells him to stop Ivan there, and it maybe happens too quick, but we don't care because we're having fun. Really, we're having fun. How many movies have we watched so far where we've had fun really be the strongest push for where we put these movies? And everything I'm remembering from Degeneration and looking at these other ones, I feel like the biggest thing that's different from this one compared to those is it's more fun. It's a little bit more straightforward for the most part. We had some issues with the plot or the kind of just general, what was happening in the story, but we keep moving. It felt like a Resident Evil game too. I think that's one thing we gotta mention as well. This felt like a Resident Evil game compared to the live action ones. Even more maybe compared to Degeneration, which started off cool in an airport. I'm like, cool, we're gonna be in the airport the whole movie. Nope, we're gonna start talking about a town and these other characters I don't care about. Blah blah blah. They knew we saw what we liked here, and they kept sticking with it. They kept going. We gotta be honest here. This is, to me, a minimum B tier. I think this belongs in B tier because I'm just looking at it compared to the last one and the other Resident Evil movies, and I'm kind of with David. Most of the time I don't like animation stuff, even though I've been kind of changing over the years on that. Typically I don't like animation stuff. I think I'd rather watch this one maybe than the other Resident Evil live actions, just because other Resident Evil live actions like just kind of let me down on the fact that every time they started going one direction, they kept changing it, and the action's cool in that, but I couldn't even tell you half the plots in the other ones because it's all over the place, man. This one felt like a good standalone movie for what's supposed to be actually a sequel. We gotta give it credit for that. I think this is B tier.
Okay.
Big old B. B for Resident Evil.
I'll go next. I think it's a B. All right, David.
Biohazard.
No, I'll explain a little bit more. Okay. I was just making a joke because you gave a really long explanation there. No, I agree. This is the best Resident Evil film that I've seen. To kind of give a bit more of a description on the differences between the live action action and the animated action is all those Paul W.S. Anderson live action films, which for those that maybe are tuning in and never saw any of those that don't know, are not connected to the games. It's in name only, really. It's weird. Very schlocky. A lot of the action is stupid, but like it could be cool, but it's very stupid. The action in this one had a cool factor to it, where I'm like, I don't have to like have an irony pair of glasses on to look through to be like, yes, it's okay to think this is cool, like you might with the live action films. Like this was generally, good action in of itself, and it's just a spectacle film. This was obviously in the era where 3D was a craze, and that definitely kind of colored a bit of the direction that they needed to go with for the film, and I think it was to its benefit. We didn't watch it in 3D. I don't think I ever will. But like I think it was good. I think it is the best ones that we've seen, much better than Degeneration. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and say B. David.
Wow.
Wow. You're telling me now for the first keep doing that.
So I think we've been talking a lot about the good things about this movie. And in my head, as we were talking about it, I was also thinking C or B. But looking back, I actually wrote down a rating at like right when I finished the movie, and I wrote down C or D. I think there was just a lot of things in this movie that I was like, oh, that's like, that wasn't done very well, that I was thinking about in the moment that I can't necessarily recall here, which I think is to the benefit of the movie. Overall, it was good. And I think, talking about it and hearing your guys' opinions, I think raises me up to a C, but I'm surprised that you guys are raising it up to a B, if I'm honest.
And
I don't think it was that crazy good for animation.
We've seen this.
Yeah, I think. So I guess my argument against that would be just because, like, maybe the other movie you guys rated should have been a D. And
I'm not saying that you not seeing these movies is a lesson.
No,
That's what I'm saying. It's just different context. Like, this is why I appreciate that we had you on, having not seen the 50 stupid movies we saw prior to this season.
You guys are comparing it to the really bad ones.
And you know what? If I also wanted to be a little bit of an annoying twerp here, last movie we saw on the show was the worst movie I've ever seen in my life. So this movie is like quadruple S tier.
Hard disagree.
Can compare in comparison.
No.
But yes, I understand what you're saying. Like, just comparing it to the others doesn't
I will say
necessarily
this
mean,
though. I should have said this, but
own.
it's because I'm selling my game or selling my movie here. I will say I would put this on the lower end of B tier because I am looking at some of these other ones where I'm like, I like these more. Like, I think the first Resident Evil, I know Ethan's not as high as me because I think I just have a childhood nostalgia for it. That soundtrack is in my head constantly. I love a lot of just like the visual elements of it throughout. And it sucks that the rest of the movies don't follow that. That's why I was like, I remember the second movie Ethan was higher on, I was more negative on because I'm like, no, like I liked this more, and like we were just had differences on that.
That was one of our biggest contention points there. We were really fighting on
the second one especially, and then we just accepted it for the third, the fourth, the fifth. We were by the last one. We were like, I don't even care anymore, man. Like, this is D. Just because I think we were sick of it just being completely off the walls. But then to be fair, I'm looking at the other B ones, and like Dead or Alive is like more of a ironic B because it's just like it's not well made. It's more of those it's bad, it's good situations. Same with Mortal Kombat 1995. Dragon Quest: Your Story was a good story that had a cool plot twist. Dead Space Downfall I would also put in the lower B tiers. So I think B is still in that area just for us.
More
overall,
good than bad. You know what I mean?
That's why we use that.
More good than bad. The ratio might.
But I
change,
also hear a C. I hear a C.
Yeah.
You know what?
I feel like it's not
C as
better
well.
than
Let's
Max
give me some
Payne.
counterpick points here. We're all saying
Well,
C, right?
But no, I'm saying I see
I'm-
where David's coming from on a C. I'm just going with, once again, this isn't fair to David, but just like watching these other ones.
Yeah.
Like I would feel bad putting it in C because I don't think it deserves the
that's-
same fate as these.
My
But I
point
get where-
is,
yeah, go ahead.
right, maybe those should have been a D. I don't know that it's like we shouldn't, like if we're rating poorly, like how, are we just going to keep shifting things up?
Maybe one day we'll revisit some of these films. Just saying.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say again, I don't think this is better than Max Payne that we watched. I think it's a little bit better than Tekken, which we rated C. I think Tekken was like a low C for me, and Max Payne was like a mid to high C, and I think this is also like a mid to high C.
I just realized on my end I don't even see the new ones because I remember I'm just going off memory here. Is Max Payne B?
De-
Did we put Max Payne B?
Max Payne was C.
Max Payne is
the
C.
spreadsheet should
C.
be updated, and if you look at
I'm looking at your. I wasn't
myself,
looking at yours.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. I have to scroll over.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm struggling with Excel today. I apologize. Okay, this is why I've been. It's early in the morning. Excel's break. I can't do it.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, yeah, I mean, that's what makes this tough too. As you go on, like the memory of old movies we
Yeah.
watch,
Oh, for
could
sure.
be fluctuate. We're like, oh, this actually wasn't as good, or this actually we were too hard on. So like, yeah, maybe Max Payne needed to be higher. I don't know. But in that moment, we picked that, So I think
What I would say, just because
Go ahead.
the Max Payne thing, I think is a very fair. I think that might be the closest thing. I think Max Payne is a high C. I think that Damnation is a low B. I had more fun watching this one than Max Payne. They're
agree.
going for two different things, and I feel like what Max Payne was trying to
Yeah.
go for wasn't as effective as this one. I think
This one-
DOA
also
Dead or
I'll say
Alive
Max
is a higher
Payne-
B than Damnation because that was a movie that knew what it was and it was stupid. And it was stupid in ways where it was a time like it was just doing that. Where this one was like, this knows it's a stopgap in between video game stories. This is, direct to 3D Blu-ray, or maybe it was in theaters. I don't remember exactly. Like, it knew what it
did-
was. It's not
let me
having these grand ambitions. Max Payne was trying to be very heady, very
was
thoughtful.
in-home.
It was trying to emulate movies that the game was emulating, that this movie was based off of, and I don't think it quite reached its potential. It's all isolated instances of what their potential is. That's my personal read. I don't think Max Payne should have been higher, but I don't think that the gap between this high C and low B is a gulf.
I think for me, like I said earlier, why this is more B for me is because I had more enjoyment overall from the beginning to the end. There wasn't a moment where I was like, man, can we get this over with? Like, yeah, there's always that in every movie. Like, even the movies I love, there's always a moment where I'm like, oh, this scene I wish was different, or this scene wasn't in it. Of course. But I'm saying just overall as a package, like, I'm probably more likely to watch this over Max Payne or the other Resident Evil movies. I feel like Max Payne had a lot of, we talked about in that, like, a lot of moments that were like, oh, it's going cool, and then it kind of would go back to reality a little bit. We're like, oh, even Mark Wahlberg couldn't save this at moments. Or some of the sets didn't look great or whatever. Those kind of things. I think it's why it's a C tier, where it had kind of just 50-50 of good and bad. When I feel like B, going back to that definition of B, where it's like more good than bad, like I think for most of this episode, we talked about 90% of the good stuff versus the 10% bad stuff. And that doesn't mean it belongs in A tier, because I think A tier just has there's a bigger step there. I don't know if these
really
movies will get to
solidly
there.
great.
We'll see, but
video game movies.
but
I think this
that's where
could have got there if it had better animation at points. Like the close-ups were just
I think that had
bad
better
of,
story
like,
with characters.
better
personally.
story. But
Yeah,
maybe
I
we'll
mean-
get there. I mean, I'm hoping that this keeps going up. I'm glad. The reason like I said, I picked this was at least minimum to get a C out of this, because the other one was a C. It would suck to get anything lower. But just going off my general knowledge of these when I drafted it was like, they supposedly get better. I hope so.
Right, or
And
at
by the
least
way, I did
cooler
want to
looking.
point out. Because Ethan, you mentioned in theaters. So it was a commercial success, grossing more than $2 million in Japan and more than $3 million in in-home media format in the U.S. So I think it was in theaters in Japan in
Okay.
3D. Then it came direct to Netflix or something.
3D
in
Blu-ray
America.
or something. Okay.
So-
And just, because we're talking about, mentioning like, oh, the further away we get from movies, the less memory we have on them, our feelings change. How much are we comparing a movie in the present we watched last night, potentially even to a movie we watched years ago? Devin and I started this podcast 5 years ago. The third episode was a movie review. You know what I mean?
We ranked Detective Pikachu on S, and like, I don't even know if that's true anymore if we rewatched
Well, my
it. Like,
point
legitimately-
being is that like
'cause it's
this
been
is
so
why
long,
we do
yeah.
tiers as opposed to a straight up ranking. Devin and I did this with the Chronicles of Diesel. We had a ranking, and it started getting to the ends where it's like, I don't even remember this movie that well to argue if it's slightly better or worse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Tiers
You know, I
make
love
it
the
better because you can
chaoticness of it.
you can define a tier by a phrase. B is more good than bad. It's got some fun to it, or maybe it's trying to be serious, whatever. It's got a thing to it. D
Enjoyment.
is obviously more bad than good, but D has a boring quality to it. You know what I mean? Like, we can kind of define that, and just taking what your own subjective opinion is a little bit easier than trying to make a list that we are not going to agree on. If we were to make a tier ranking, or not a tier ranking, we're just like a straight up, 50-something movie ranking, we just won't agree in general by the time we get to the 30th movie. So, like, of course, I think this is better than that, but because you think it's worse, then we have to find a way. I think that's why I like the tiers. But we do have to come to a consensus here on whether it is B or C. I still think, a low B still feels right. But I really do get what you're saying, David. I think that actually kind of comes back around maybe to the Gran Turismo and Tetris thing of like, well, in hindsight now, were those really S's, but we left them there. We left Max Payne at C.
I think so.
Battle of the Realms at D. Where are we going to put Resident Evil Damnation? I personally still think a B, but what are we thinking here?
I mean, if you guys are agreeing, I've said my piece. I understand your guys' viewpoints, so sounds like sounds like B.
Fine, I'll change it to. Just kidding.
I would love for it to be a C because I would get a point for counterpoint.
No, I think
as a B, I get nothing.
No, I think like I said, maybe I could have led saying it's a lower B, and not. But like I'm trying to sell it. I'm trying to sell like a nice car.
Sure.
Yeah,
okay?
I understand.
So
and I appreciate that there's no animosity or needing for revenge after the worst movie we've ever seen in our lives this last movie
hey,
review.
I was not.
I should
have
came out with an F.
I was not as down in that as Ethan was.
Wow.
I mean, I'm not saying we both agree. Me and Ethan agreed in the tiers.
We need
but
to
I
get
also
moving
was not
on
like
this.
saying
We need to
it's
get moving
the
on
worst
this.
movie of all time.
So, because this is a B tier film, Resident Evil Damnation is B tier. Devin is going to get 4 points. However, folks might have noticed there was a decimal system to this.
How'd they do that?
How did we do this? So, as you notice, Devin, before he gets his 4 points from the B tier, it was sitting at 11.46. So, Devin, how does this work?
So yeah, basically we look at the Rotten Tomatoes score, specifically the user score. So the average folk like us watching these movies, they go on RottenTomatoes.com and passionately give this a movie out of 100%. And Rotten Tomatoes puts all those scores together into an average, and that's how you get a Rotten Tomatoes user score. There's also the critic score. A lot of people look at critic scores, but we don't do that here because we aren't critics. We're just dudes watching all the video game movies because we're freaks. We are freaks. We know this, but we're okay with it. Unlike the critics who can't admit that they're actually freaks as well, and they just think that are on their different pedestal, but they're freaks as well. That's right. I'm calling them out. I call them out.
Don't lump me in with your opinion.
It's because I'm jealous because I really want to be a critic deep down. I'd love to go to see all the movies and.
I would love to get screeners in the mail.
Yeah, that'd be sick. I would love to go to like the opening night red carpet for.
I would love to be able to go see the
movie.
opening red carpet premiere of Borderlands. Obviously.
Jimmy the Curse would be there.
Not the rip I'm watching, but
but. Anyways, yeah. So there's a score, and basically whatever the percentage is. So if it's let's say 50%, you get 0.5. The decimal just gets moved over twice. So that's how we have the different decimals here, and it also adds a tiebreaker element to it.
Right.
It'd be almost impossible to tie. I'm not gonna say it's impossible, but almost impossible to tie in this. And that's how it came down last season between me and Ethan. It came down to the decimal points. So they are important, and sometimes movies don't have any at all. So that's what makes it interesting.
Right, and then you just eat that.
Right. And so yeah, you let me know when you're all ready, but give me your predictions for your audience score for this movie.
I'll go first. I'm going to guess
score.
75.
Okay, we got a 75.
I'm guessing 50.
Oh, because I use it as an example, you think maybe it was a little slip up there.
Yeah. Yep.
You'd be incorrect. It is 70. It is
Wow.
Oh, wow.
70%.
Okay. Yeah.
So
okay.
I'll take 0.7. That's almost a +1 right there.
Yeah, that's
It
pretty
sucks
huge.
we're not doing the critics because they gave it 100%. It has 100%
Really?
Rotten Tomatoes.
How many
with five,
critics?
How many
five
reviews?
reviews? 5 reviews.
And remember,
but they're all 100.
the critical score is just a yes or no on the recommendation. It's not that they gave it 5 out of 5. All of them.
Gotcha.
I'm not sure if that's
Oh,
the
yeah,
way
it
it
does
works for
say,
the
like, 4
audience
out of
score,
5.
but that's the way it is for the critics. It's just, do you recommend this?
Here's one guy gave it an 8 out of 10 from the critics reviews. He said, "If you're a fan of the series, this is finally the Resident Evil experience you've been waiting on." Then in audience reviews, we have, "It's a bit cheesy at times, but really gives up in the second half. If you like Resident Evil games, you'll probably enjoy this movie." Dylan says, "I like it. Plot kind of confused me near the end, but still a good movie. Also, Ada is hot." Agreed. That's pretty much what we said today.
Yeah, could have just read off those and then would have summed up our review.
But yeah,
That's interesting, though.
really solid RE animation movie. It comes really close to what you feel when playing a Resident Evil game. They definitely
Yeah,
hit the
I
spot
agree.
on this one. So I like that I've been adding this more, and I think it gives different perspectives too.
I
That are
agree.
like, oh, I agree with this or disagree. So I feel like
So
we're
Devin
with
has
the
earned
audience on this one.
4.7 points. 4.70.
That's not good for me.
His new total is 16-16. He is
Oh, boy, this
less
is-
than
he's
3
gonna pull
points
ahead.
above Devin, or above David, rather. So, David,
Yeah,
you're not too far away. I gained 0 points as the counter pick. Hey, it's better than not losing
Oh no.
some. If
Yeah,
it
no,
was
it's better
A
than
tier, I would have lost some. So I'm still at 9.11, which means Devin is 7.05 higher than
Yeah.
me.
You need a
That's
couple
not
less
looking
cheers.
good
Same
with
number of
this.
movies.
You need a couple less cheers. Easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey, who knows?
Never know. You might.
Who knows?
You might get one.
We're only halfway through this
Yeah.
entire draft, so I'm looking forward to the next 9 of them. So thank you guys for watching around, but as we all know, it's not over yet. It's time for everyone's new favorite game show, Biohazards.
Oh, no.
Yay!
Whoa.
Devin put in some clapping sound effects here.
Yeah.
Yay! This
No,
is
don't do
going
that
to
because
be-
then last time I was looking for some and I couldn't find one, so I didn't do any. So don't. Now you set me up.
Devin,
Hey guys,
don't put any
remember
in. There you go.
this
Put that.
episode here?
Stop.
He has to
I'm not
edit that
adding
in
any
now.
of that.
Oh,
Nope,
that's right.
I'm
When
not.
David said this before, he has to edit that in now too.
Okay, I'm just gonna find an embarrassing clip that David said. I'm just gonna throw that in there.
At least it's not me. I've never said anything embarrassing. And there we go. All right, so this is going to be a very simple question and answer game of multiple choice, 3 each. There are 6 questions. As folks might notice, we got some trophies up here for winning
I don't
previous
like
game
this.
shows. David, you've won 3 so far. Devin, you have won
I think that
6.
That 5's on the wrong side.
Well, hey, maybe you can turn it around over time.
What that says, that's 51. So I'm,
No.
I'm leading by a lot.
Yeah, it's not a tally.
Because
Yeah,
if I
I've
think
been
they're
losing
too
for a
small,
while.
then people won't be able to see them all that well. So, that's why we have it
I'm
like
just
that.
saying, it looks like 51 to me. 51 to 3. Have a huge lead going into this one.
Sure. 6 questions with a tiebreaker if we need it to be so. I'm going to ask a question that is all about biohazards, because I went to the Center of Disease Control's National Institute of Occupational Safety and
my
Health,
God.
as well as the World Health Organization for today's questions. They are all about biological hazards. I will ask a question after reading off some information. It is 3 multiple choice. I will read them out loud. You buzz in by saying your own name. If you get it correct, you will gain 5 points. If you get it wrong, the other person has a chance to steal. Any questions?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
I got
I will
vaccinated.
ask the first question now. Hepatitis B will make you nauseous, vomit, and give you jaundiced eyes. It attacks the liver and can kill you if you have liver cancer or cirrhosis. As a blood-transmitted pathogen, hepatitis B can be very dangerous if unvaccinated. How many people died of hepatitis B in 2022? Is it A, 1.1 million people, B, 2.2 million people, or C, 3.3 million people?
David. A.
David says A, 1.1 million people. David, that is correct. Congratulations, David.
Yeah, I had a
now
feeling it
gets-
wasn't too crazy.
By
I
the
mean,
way,
that's
is
still a lot of
this
people.
is for
but
just the nation, right? U.S., not worldwide.
This is world.
I assume
Okay.
worldwide. I mean, 1 million people.
I thought it would be
Hepatitis
higher.
B in
if
the
it was
United
worldwide,
States.
but I don't know.
That would be
There's a
pretty
lot
crazy.
of people on this planet, so
Yeah.
Okay, well, hey, Devin, you can still easily take in that
I'm not
experience
worried.
of the world and take this back. We're on to our second question now. This isn't about hepatitis B. This is about hepatitis A, which is another liver-focused pathogen and will make you break out in a fever, give you diarrhea, and jaundiced eyes. Beyond prevention with a vaccine, there is nothing you can do to cure hepatitis A besides letting it run its course in a few weeks. How does someone get hepatitis A? Is it A, touching an infected person, B, a of blood transfusion, or C, eating shit?
Devin,
Devin.
B.
Devin says B, blood transfusion. Devin, that answer is incorrect. David, you have a chance to steal. David.
Eating shit.
David says C, eating shit. David, that is correct.
Oh my god, that's so stupid.
As soon as I knew.
That is not what the
as soon as I heard
CDC would
that-
say. You said he went to the CDC. They don't use the word shit. Come on now.
That's what literally
they
it's
use crap.
categorized as as fecal matter that you ingest.
Yeah, that's what it should have been.
That's how it
listed
gets
as.
transmitted. That's how it gets transmitted.
As soon as I
Okay.
heard that, I knew that was a Ethan answer, and I knew it was correct.
Okay. 2 questions down. We got 4 more to go, and there is still a tiebreaker. So, Devin, you can still easily take it back. I mean, you won most of the game so
Not
far.
worried.
Don't need
I'm
to,
not
though.
worried because I'm vaccinated.
You should be worried.
Hey, that's the theme for a lot of these, by the way. Our third question is simply this. Human papillomavirus is a collection of different viruses, as well as an STI that lives a short life inside the human body, unnoticed in about 90% of humans. However, it can cause cancer if not prevented with a vaccine. How many individual viruses are considered human papillomavirus? Is it A, 100, B, 200, or C, 300?
Devin,
Devin, go ahead.
this is literally guess B.
Devin says B, 200
It's
different
probably
viruses are
1,000.
considered human papilloma. No, it's not going to be 1,000 if I only said 1,
You
2,
lied.
300.
I think you lied.
Yeah.
Okay,
none of them are
you're right. I lied. The answer is indeed B. You have earned
Damn.
yourself
Wow,
5
good
points.
guess.
We are halfway through. It is still
300
anyone's
is.
game.
I could have seen 300. I feel like there's so many
Yeah.
diseases out there and like weird shit that we
and I'm
don't
sure
understand.
it just
so.
grows. That was at the last time, that the WHO apparently wrote that down. It said 200. Seemed weird that
Yeah.
it's exactly
The
200.
band.
So
The band wrote down.
You could have said
Yeah,
1,000.
the-
I would have been like, yeah, sure.
you're right. Just like the cold, the common cold. There was like a million variants
right.
of it.
Yeah.
All right, halfway done. On to our fourth question. Cytomegalovirus is a virus that is weak enough for the body to deal with on its own. It infects the body through contact and stays there for life. Newly infected people may experience mild symptoms. How many adults age 40 in the world have cytomegalovirus? Is it A, over a quarter of people, B, over half, or C, over 2/3?
Devin.
David.
I heard Devin first.
Sorry, can you read the first one? Never mind. B.
Devin says B, over
That was
half.
my
Is that
guess.
your
That was
answer?
cheating. That was cheating. I didn't want to cheat. I don't want
Okay.
to say my name then not know what you said. So I really don't remember what A was, but we're going with B.
Okay, Devin says
quarter.
B, over half. Yes, it was quarter, half, or 2/3. Devin, that is correct. Devin,
Damn.
you are now tied. David,
Wow,
he's catching
yeah.
up. You gonna let him
I should
claw
have said
back?
it sooner. My guess was
Oh.
also B. Fuck.
All thanks to the vaccine. Shout out to Pfizer.
That's a lot, though.
Yeah, babies can be born with it, but
Half.
like most people, they just don't ever notice, and it
Yeah,
stays
we're
in
just
your
too
body for
strong.
life, which is why, of course, it can just get transmitted. And,
So you're saying there's a
know.
good chance one of us in this call has it.
I bet all three of us have it.
That's not how statistics work.
Well, I'm just making a bet. Hey,
Well,
I would
you're
bet
wrong.
money on it.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, our fifth question, our penultimate question. Are you boys ready? It's tied. It's anyone's game, quite literally.
Ready.
Human immunodeficiency virus, or HIV, is transmitted through blood and other bodily fluids. It attacks the body's immune system, and last year it is estimated that 630,000 people died of HIV-related causes. How many people last year acquired HIV? Is it A, 1.3 million, B, 2.4 million, or C, 3.5 million?
Devin.
David.
Heard Devin first.
I'm gonna go A on this one. I hope it's the right answer because that's sad. If it's more, I'm sad that
Right,
it's
yeah.
a disease that's
That's
going
probably underreported too.
Right, because how
That's
many
true.
people in some African countries don't have an access to or even know,
Right.
But Devin goes optimistically, and he hopes that as 1.3 million people acquired HIV last year. Devin, that's correct.
Damn it.
Devin is now in the
Oh,
lead.
my
Okay, we
God,
got
I
a
thought
lot
he was gonna say incorrect.
Let's close this shit out.
We
No.
need to get this last one to tie. And
No.
there's a tiebreaker, but Devin, you can easily secure a victory with this sixth and final question. Are we ready?
I won't allow it.
Okay. Tyrant virus attacks the infected person's cells, causing degradation of their DNA. It is
Bruh.
transmitted through blood and other bodily fluids. Which Resident Evil character gets infected with Tyrant virus and cured with a vaccine? Is it A, Jill Valentine, B, Ashley Graham, or C, Albert Wesker?
Devin.
Devin.
I think it's
Wow.
Ashley. I think it's B. Isn't that from Resident Evil 4, maybe?
Which
I'm
is
really
the
hoping
president's
you get it
daughter that
incorrect, so I
Leon
have
goes
50-50.
to. Okay. You think B, Ashley Graham, gets the virus and then is cured with a vaccine. Devin, that is incorrect. David, you have a chance to steal.
Oh, huge. All right, what were the first one and the last one?
Jill Valentine or
Jill
Albert
Valentine.
Wesker? You're saying Jill
My
Valentine?
gut says Jill. And I'm gonna go A. Jill Valentine.
Or is it Albert Wesker? Who knows?
I'm
know.
going A.
I don't
I
even know
hope
who
not.
that. I honestly don't even know who that is.
Yeah, I don't know either one, so it's
Albert
50-50
Wesker's
for
the
me.
villain. And Jill Valentine's the main character.
Jill went
the
to our
first
high
and
school,
third.
David. What do you mean?
Right.
Yeah, it's just some woman we went to high school with.
Well, David, your guess with Jill Valentine is correct.
Wow.
Yes!
We are
Pulled
now
it through.
What a
tied.
game. What a game.
Hell yeah.
Tyrant virus isn't real. It's the T virus from Resident Evil. If that wasn't clear. We're on to our
I remember-
tiebreaker.
I think Ashley does get sick at some point in the game. I don't remember. It's been a while.
Listen, I looked at the wiki for Tyrant virus, and they have a huge list of everyone that was ever infected. Albert and Ashley were never infected with it, and they specifically say Jill was vaccinated to cure it. So, okay, on to
Which
our
is not how
tiebreaker
vaccines
question.
work, but
Whatever.
vaccines to cure it. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Here's the tiebreaker. If neither of you get this right, I don't know what to do. I had this realization while making it, and I didn't have time to
We
fix
got
it.
it. We got it.
We
But it's
got
another
it.
multiple
Lock it
choice.
in.
Buzz in by saying your own name.
Oh, it's not multiple choice? Or it is?
It is multiple choice. It is multiple
Oh, okay.
choice.
Okay.
Right. But it's possible you can
open-ended
both
would be
pick
crazy.
wrong answers. Okay. Golgotha virus causes extreme mutations, morphing the infected person's body into grotesque shapes. Treatment is possible, but the surgery required would mostly eliminate the entire infected person's body outright. What human body part is often grown large and in abnormal parts of the human body when infected with Golgotha virus? These are additional growths. This isn't a moving, of any body part. Is it A, an eyeball, B, a finger, or C, a tooth? Or multiple versions of either of these? David.
A finger. I cannot
David-
imagine that it's an eyeball. That's
David
or a
says
tooth.
I think.
B.
I mean, way
Tooth's
Ethan
crazy.
described it, that kind of makes sense, but we'll see. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
David
man.
says B, a finger. David, that's incorrect. Devin, you
Oh,
have a chance
no.
to steal.
Ethan,
They're
tell me what the
both
answer is.
crazy.
Tell me what the answer is,
both-
because you said you don't have another one, so you should tell me so that we have a victor. I guess maybe just no one wins, right? Can we get ties in this?
Don't worry. If we
gotta
fail
do like
this,
we could do it.
just give me your answer.
Okay.
Is it either an
said-
eyeball or a tooth?
Can you read the whole question again? I need
Okay.
the definition.
Golgotha virus causes extreme mutation, morphing the infected person's body into grotesque shapes. Treatment is possible, but the surgery required would mostly eliminate the infected person's body outright. What human body part is often grown large and in abnormal parts of the human body when infected with Golgotha virus? A, eyeball, or C, tooth? Or multiple versions of these.
So the way you describe it too, it's like, oh, it removed most of the body. I'm like, okay. Like that's why I thought finger at first, but then theoretically, if this is something that grows the most, to me, it's like if tooth is growing, that tells me if the rest of their body is changing, maybe it's affecting the bone. And you didn't specifically say bone because I would have gave out the answer. So I'm gonna go with teeth. Because I feel like if it's affecting teeth, which is part of your bones, maybe it's affecting the rest of your bones in your body, and that's when you start changing shape. Because why would it start in the eyes first, or be one of the main things, and then it just doesn't make sense. I'm going with bone. Now that I think about it, going with C for
Devin
teeth.
says
Strong
C,
answer.
teeth. Devin, that is incorrect.
What,
Oh
dude?
my god,
The
that's
giant
crazy.
eyeball on the creature is what
What?
you shoot. It's the weak point. This is a Resident Evil thing, baby. This isn't
Oh
real
my
life.
Whatever.
Golgotha virus.
You
That
can't
was
change-
not specified.
The last two questions were Resident Evil based, and not.
wow.
You said at the beginning that they were all CDC biohazard, like you looked at CDC stuff. So this is fake news that you put in at the end. If anything, I
Hey.
should have won because I got all the actual real life shit correct. God damn
So
If anything,
Here's
I should have
how-
won because then I would have got it
here's
correct. 'Cause it
how
would have been
we're
finger.
going to do this. Either we walk away with this as a tie and no one gets a trophy, or we double or nothing and you each put up a trophy on the line.
Oh shit!
And I will ask one more question.
Wow.
What is the question about? I want to know what the
Oh.
question's about because I feel like the last one was bullshit.
It'll be within
you
this
didn't,
vein.
You did not specify it was Resident Evil based. I would have definitely not have done Bone.
I feel like I'd rather him not say.
I'm not going to say. But it's within the vein of what we've been doing.
So we bet a trophy. I mean, I have the lead,
God.
so there's really no benefit
Yeah.
for me outside of just building a bigger lead, which would have happened if I won anyways. So I'm okay breaking even because it's one less challenge that where I'm leading. So
Yeah, I mean, but you could take away my opportunity to come back in these next few episodes.
but I'm still winning though. You know, if I was
I need consensus. David, what do you want? Devin
but
said
will
what
the
he
fans?
wants.
But will the fans like this?
Do the
I think
fans,
the fans
want
will
a
love
heel
it.
that gives no opportunity?
Okay, fine.
Okay.
I'll do it for the fans. Just remember this. Remember, I'm doing this for the fans. People say I'm not fan friendly. I am fan friendly. You heard it here, folks. I'm a fan.
I'm gonna be honest. I prefer a tie, but I think it's more fun to do to bet one.
Okay, you're each putting
I was
a
just
trophy
arguing
on the
against you.
line. Okay.
Yeah, because I guess the risk for you is
It's pretty
I think,
huge.
bigger
yeah.
versus
Yeah.
mine. But to me, I was like trying to I know I've won this week in the sense that because I'm winning.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but hey, for the fans,
All right,
all
for
or
the fans,
nothing,
let's do it.
one trophy is on the line from one of us. It's going to the
That's
other.
right. That's right. So if David were to win, he will get one trophy from Devin. If Devin wins, he gets one trophy from David.
Or you can just add another question, and whoever wins wins.
That's what I'm doing. I'm going to ask one more question.
But we're losing.
The
though.
winner
We're losing one.
wins the
Right.
trophy from the
There's a
other
negative.
person.
There's a negative for
Okay.
us tying because we're so good at this game.
No one gets our trophies back if we tie.
Yeah, we just both lose
Ethan
one.
gets trophies.
David's Ethan's the third party in this situation. If Ethan has
Yeah.
more trophies, he can actually win his own game.
Wow.
Okay. I'm going to ask a very similar question to question number 6.
Is this real life then?
This is a Resident Evil virus once more.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. This changes things.
For sure.
Okay. Within the Resident Evil world, there are multiple viruses, multiple biohazards, oftentimes developed by Umbrella Corporation and its competitors. The Ouroboros virus, otherwise maybe known as the U virus potentially, is a dangerous virus that is infected, but it is possible to be, let's say, you can survive later with it. I'm going to ask you 3 people. One of these people was infected by this virus. The other 2 have not. Has it A, Jill Valentine, B, Ashley Graham, or C, Albert Wesker?
Devin.
I heard Devin first.
Ouroboros. I'm going to go C because I haven't said C all show. And when you don't know, you guess C.
Yeah,
That's
I can
the
see the
strat.
villain
Okay.
infected
Devin.
with something.
Oops. Hold on 1 second here. I forgot. I wanted to have question 8 be up on there. There we go. We get to see the Adas on screen now. Okay. Devin, you say that it is C, Albert Wesker. Is this your final answer?
Locking it in. Win or go home, you know?
Okay.
Incorrect.
Devin, that answer of C, Albert Wesker, is correct.
Let's
Damn it. No. So bad.
And
so bad for me.
With this,
Let's
David,
go back to stalemate. No. Oh, no.
Oh, my.
David's down to
That's
2.
no bueno. That's no bueno.
I'm at 52 now.
Damn.
David,
You're at 511.
You lost your trophy, and you gave it to Devin. Devin, you have
511
7
versus
trophies.
2.
David, you
That's
only have
so bad.
2.
That's so bad.
You have to win
Yeah, not
5
good.
more, David, just to tie.
I just give up. I gotta give up.
How are we going to do this?
Conceding.
Yeah. Clearly, I didn't qualify correctly for this race.
I want to
Well-
thank Pfizer again for giving this opportunity to beat
Giving you
back
all the
these
answers.
biohazards. Yes. It was
Well,
all
thanks
thanks to
guys
Pfizer.
for playing. This was fun. This was tense. This was exciting. Now
That's
I know
fun.
the tiebreakers in future game shows can not be a way where both people can't get it anyway. So now I know. Now I've learned. And I'd like to thank you all for watching this episode of the Sonic Movie Show. Remember, folks, we're on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and the like. Wherever you are, we're there at Sonic Movie Show. It's the name of the show. We're also on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Well, YouTube, I said. TikTok and Threads at Sonic Movie Show as well. Hit us up, like us up, comment on us below. Let us know what you thought about Resident Evil Damnation in the comments below on this YouTube video. Please share it with your friends. More people need to see this epic victory and David's utter pathetic loss. I just need more people
They
to see
need to
it.
see the comeback coming in the next weeks. Calling it now.
We'll see.
We're
We'll
going to
see.
need a lot of weeks. I mean, we're halfway through, so it is
Easy.
possible. Wait, wouldn't he, well, I know there's other gimmicks that Ethan has up his sleeve, but just going on the straight game shows, I think you need to win out at this point to have a shot.
Yeah, I pretty much.
David, I need you to step it up. Now, I am, a little biased
close.
in who I'm rooting for. I will always root for the loser, but that doesn't mean I'm going to help you win, David. So I need you to step up, all right? Just because Devin's a little bit faster on saying his own name doesn't mean that you can't also be
It's so
doing
weird
the same
'cause-
thing. Because David, think about this. He says his name, and then he stalls. So he's thinking
I do
about
the
what
same
his
thing.
answer
I can't
is
blame
after
him
he
on
already
that.
says his
I
name.
do the same thing. I do the same thing.
You gotta fight fire
I'm
with
just playing my
fire.
game. I'm just playing my
hey,
game.
I respect
Thank
it.
you all for watching. Next episode of the Sonic Movie Show, or next movie review, rather, of the Sonic Movie Show, will be Fatal Fury Legend of the Hungry Wolf. We'll start the back half of this golf course here. We'll see you all then. And as always, we always end the show by saying, Damnation
Leon
out.
Damn nation.
Evil out.
Okay.
Damnation.
And that's it.